Hello everybody and welcome to this vlog, which is 68 facts about me. Now on Twitter I had the whole picture thing where it's like for every like I will give a fact or truth about me, but I didn't want to fill up Twitter with loads of spam. There's a few of them on there, but I decided that I would do it in vlog form instead. You guys wanted me to fire out a bunch of quick facts to you, so this is what it's gonna be. It's gonna be fast. I'm gonna have no explanation. If you want an explanation for any of these and you're curious, then just ask in the comments below, but I'm just gonna fire through these right now real fast for you. Go! Number one, most people know that I have a mild phobia of moths, but what most people don't know is that I actually have a small phobia, not phobia, just kind of a fear of small spaces, especially tunnels which you have to like crawl in or lie in and you can't get out of or turn around in. Two of my biggest pet peeves are people who smoke like in public, all in your face and things like that, and people who play music out of their phones really inconsiderably in public. My biggest turn-offs from people tend to be people, not like romantically but just in a friendship way, are people who smoke or people who are like just generally lazy and think that they're gonna get the best out of life without putting any effort into it. Lazy people are not cool, man. When I was younger I used to be scared of dying in a house fire that I didn't wake up from, like I'd just suddenly be burnt in my bed one night and just not know there was a fire going on. I'm really bad at saying hello to people. Most people think that I am really like bouncy and boisterous and outgoing and things like that, but I find it very difficult to actually go up to people and do that initial hi, my name is Penny, nice to meet you. My least favorite part about my body is my stomach, which is why I like wearing big jumpers and baggy clothes and things like that and leggings. But my favorite part about my body is my eyes. People say that I have pretty eyes. One of the few things that people like compliment me on, and I actually genuinely feel kind of the same. I quite like my eyes. They're blue. I like blue. They're quite big. I wish my eyelashes were longer. My eyebrows are, you know, too plucked, but I tend to wear my emotions on my sleeve a lot. I get triggered by things really easily, especially crying at like films and books and things like that, which can be both like a curse and a blessing sometimes, I guess. Like, you know that I'm always very honest with my emotions, but sometimes I could be a little bit too honest, or it could be a little bit difficult to control them. Until a lot of the online stuff that I did, I had very few male friends. I found male friends very difficult to talk to, and I always felt like there was always the drama around like romance and things like that. But ever since doing all this online stuff, I have actually had a lot more male friends and been like way more comfortable around just having guys as friends. And like, you look at Insomnia from last week, I spent, you know, several nights in a youth hostel with 5 of my dude friends, and I was a bro and I had a great time. I really don't like milk chocolate. I find it really bland and really like gooey and ugh, and just too much in the mouth. I like dark chocolate, A, because it's so rich. I don't drink much of it. I don't eat much of it, so it's not too kind of sickly for me. And I also quite like white chocolate just because it shakes things up a bit. I know it's technically not chocolate, but I like it anyway. I grew up in the USA. For 8 years I lived there, just outside of Boston, about an hour away from Boston in Massachusetts. Before I fall asleep at night, I like to drift off, kind of like creating scenarios in my head. Sometimes they're like fantasy, sometimes they're more just like what if, thinking into the future and thinking about people and situations and things like that. It really relaxes me and it really kind of gets me into that dream state. I really don't tan very well. I just sunburn a lot. If you look at like the tan line on my friend Fran, she has like a massive tan line on her hand where her watch always is. I get nothing. I'm either pale or I'm red as a tomato. I am a cat person. I love cats. I find cats adorable. Every time I'm around a friend's house and they have a cat, I'm always ignoring my friend and just playing with their cat. But I've never had a cat because all of my family is allergic, so maybe someday I shall be a crazy cat lady. I find riding buses extremely relaxing. Like, I could just sit on a bus and just ride for like an hour or two and just gaze out the window, and like I could probably nod off on a bus really easy. I just find it really relaxing being on a bus. I'm not quite sure why. I have dual citizenship since I grew up in the States, so I have both an American passport and a UK passport, which is very handy for traveling and if I ever want to go to the USA someday. However, my US accent did disappear within a month of moving here. I remember the story of my dad being like, oh, we remembered when your accent disappeared when we were having dinner and you suddenly said, Daddy, can you pass the potatoes? So it was gone. I pick up accents super quickly. I prefer coffee to tea, but as of my current situation, I prefer decaf coffee to caffeinated coffee. I'm actually not a big fan of cake. I tend to prefer cookies or muffins or brownies or things like that. I'm actually not a massive cake fan. I find it a little bit too dry sometimes. Even if it's a good cake, I just find it a bit too much sponge to just put in my mouth. 20 is my lucky number, and I was born at 11:20 at night on November the 7th in the US. It'd be November the 8th technically in the UK, but let's ignore that. I have a younger brother called Robbie, and he is 7 years younger than me, so there's quite an age gap there. And actually, I've always wanted a sister until he was born, and then I was totally fine with it because he's a cool brother. I am extremely ticklish on my legs. Like, sometimes if I'm in the right mood, even the thought of someone tickling me, even if they hover their hands near my legs, that will just set me off into hysterics. My music taste tends to be really random. I tend to like one-off songs from artists, and it's just like spread across loads of other genres, but the two genres I tend to not like much of, except for maybe 1 or 2 very occasional songs, are jazz and metal. I've actually been doing video editing since I was 13 years old, and my first videos that I ever edited were like Sims 2 music videos, taking videos in Sims 2 and picking a song and making it into my own little music video. They were absolutely terrible. I used to also have a vlogging channel, and I uploaded approximately 7 vlogs before deciding that it wasn't for me, and I think I was about 14 at the time. Overall, I run or own about 5 or so YouTube channels. Most of them are inactive now, but there are a couple that I still kind of put out stuff to secretly. Snow is my absolute favourite weather. It's just so magical, and it happens so rarely in the UK, so it's really, really special to me. And my very, very close second favourite are thunderstorms, because they just give me an adrenaline rush. I don't know what it is about it. They're just so amazing, and like, ah! I used to be one of the best long jumpers in my school, despite my height, and also I was pretty good at basketball as well, again, despite my height. I'm small, but I'm very fast. Blue is my favourite colour, if you can't tell by all the blue I'm always constantly wearing. Star is actually my real surname, contrary to popular belief, and people who are like, oh, did you change your surname? Or, oh, is Star just an online name? Nope, it is my actual surname, and it's a pretty cool one if I do say so myself. My least favourite sort of feeling that makes like shivers go up and down my spine is like running fingers along paper. Like that just, ugh, I can't stand that. That just really gets to me. I used to have ballet, archery, and horse riding lessons when I was younger. Not at the same time, that'd be too crazy. I also used to play the violin and the piano, and right now I don't think I could play a violin even if you gave me one and gave me sheet music in front of me, and I only really remember one song on the piano, and that's all complete muscle memory. Maybe I'll play it for you guys sometime. If I could choose one food to have the rest of my life, it would be soup. Soup is just amazing. I have it in the summer, I have it in the winter, I don't care what I have it. You can have it thick or you can have it thin, you can have it with meat in it, you can have it with lentils in it, or like broth or anything, noodles. Oh, it's just great. I love soup. My favorite alcoholic spirit is Morgan Spiced Rum, and my favorite cocktail is Purple Rain, so noted for you guys. If you ever guys want to buy me a drink, no, I buy my own drinks. I'm strong, independent woman. My favorite band is Coldplay, and a lot of that is nostalgic value because my parents used to play them in the car all the time, and I remember like when I was younger going on big long car journeys and things like that with my parents, and they'd always be playing in the background, and the band James are a very close second for the same reason. My favorite song by Coldplay is Spies. My all-time favorite films tend to vary between a few. Again, it depends on my mood, but I think if I had to pick one, it would be Sliding Doors, purely because it never fails to make me cry every time I watch it. Like, no matter how many times I watch it, it will make me cry, guaranteed. I have over 4,000 songs on my iPod. I love music a lot. I listen to it every day, and music gives me so much inspiration for so many videos, so it is a big, big, big part of my life. I sometimes sleep talk, and sometimes I do the thing where I turn around in my bed and end up with my head and my feet should be, and vice versa. I have a birthmark in my hairline just over here, and I also have one on the back of my arm. I have a little white patch on my lip, and I'm not really sure why or where it comes from. I think it might be a vein being too close to the surface, but it's just this random little white patch on my lip. Most people don't notice it most of the time. I sneeze in sunlight or rapid light changes. If I go from dark to light or something like that, I will sneeze. Tomatoes are the only food I cannot stand eating. Any other food, even if I dislike the taste, I can eat out of politeness, but if I try to eat a tomato, I will actually probably gag. I used to want to be a drama teacher as a profession before I decided that I wanted to go into film and post-production. My favorite game of all time is American McGee's Alice, and a close second for me is Fable 3. My least favorite game is Speedrunners. Even though I can understand that it's a well-made game, it makes me rage properly, and very few games make me rage, and it's so angry and I just can't play it. I'm done with it. The most famous person I probably met is either Bill Bailey or Prince Edward. I guess it depends on how you count like the hierarchy and royalty as famous, but I've met both of them. I've had some sort of fringe for like my entire life, whether it's like a full fringe or whether it's a side one like this. I'm very particular about people having clean ears, and I'm not quite sure why. I clean my ears almost every day, probably every other day, every 3 days, and it really me when like I look and see someone's ear and it's just like all waxy and horrible, or like sharing earbuds and I can see they're all like gross and waxy. I can't do it. I can't deal with it. It just grosses me out. When I'm nervous or excited, my leg like jumps up and down really rapidly in place, and sometimes people can hear it on a stream or something. They'll be like, what is that noise? And it's just my leg just bouncing up and down in place. It's like I'm running in spot on my chair. I also speak very fast when I'm excited or nervous, kind of like this, but this is intentional because I'm doing a vlog very quickly, but I can speak very fast and people will be like, what the hell are you talking about, girl? This right here is Old Nelly, and it is an elephant which I have had since I think about a day or so after I was born. So she's very old, 21 years old. She's fallen apart, but she is mine and I love her. If my name wasn't going to be Penelope when I was born, it might have been Jessica. I'm left-handed and I'm left-footed, but I eat like a right-handed person. It just makes sense to me because the fork is the thing that you use the most, so why not have it in your dominant hand? I always find it kind of weird when right-handed people eat with a fork in the left hand and knife in their right hand, but if they're just eating with a fork, they swap it to the right. Like, I could not imagine that. I just could not do that. I have a scar on my forehead from when I was 2 and I ran into a radiator after pushing a mini shopping trolley and flying forwards into it. My favorite TV show, both as a kid and still as an adult, is Avatar: The Last Airbender, because I just find it so amazing that I watched it as a kid and loved it, and I can still watch it as an adult and enjoy it so much. Like, it was such a build up to the finale and they managed to pull it off, and like, just, it's so phenomenal all the way through, and I love it. But not the film. Oh god, not the film. Never the film. Please don't ever watch the film. I started writing a novel when I was 11. I started writing a novel when I was 11, and it was a grand epic total of about 35 pages long. I almost crashed my dad's Mini Cooper when I was 10, and I was in big, big trouble. My favorite kind of book genre is crime novels. I can't get enough crime novels. My favorite place to read is in the bath, and I will just sit in a bath for hours and turn to a prune just so I can finish a crime novel. I have never ever ever broken a bone, but I have almost died a couple of times. I can speak a bit of French and tiny fragments of German and Spanish, probably enough that I was in the country I'd be able to sort of get around okay, but most people would look at me like, what are you talking about, woman? I've never been to any countries outside North America or Europe. I don't think there's a single person in this world that I can say I genuinely hate. I find hate a very, very strong word, and even though I might throw it around like loosely, like, oh, I hate this, I hate that, genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, I don't think there is a single person which I actually hate in this world. My biggest flaw is jealousy and being easily jelly of people, whether it's about things or stuff or anything else. I'm a very easily jealous person, and it's something I try to work on, and it's something I work through, and I'm a lot better than I used to be, but jealousy is something which can irk me sometimes. And that's it! Yay, oversharing! I hope you guys enjoyed those 68 facts thrown at you. I don't think I can be asked to go through all the editing and number them all, so you'll just have to take my word for it that there are 68 facts. I do have them all on paper here, and that is all from me. Until next time, thank you guys for watching. Goodbye.